how do you sell a product that has so much mixed messaging around it? It's not exactly something people are rushing out to, or some are, but some aren't. You got any solutions?
Yeah, hi Gary. Well, look, you're right. Everything is against you. Everything is absolutely against you. And the AstraZeneca vaccine has got a huge PR problem. And look, it's been exacerbated, as you say, by the fraying of the National Cabinet and various premiers trying to distance themselves from whatever the flaws in the vaccine rollout might be by, saying what a dreadful issue that we've got with the AstraZeneca vaccine. But to be frank, I think you mentioned it before. If you're going to warn people against the risk of taking the AstraZeneca vaccine due to blood clots, the minuscule chance of getting blood clots, you might as well warn them against walking out their front door, because the risk is tiny. And you're 56 times more likely to die in a car accident than you are from blood clots from the AstraZeneca vaccine. So that's the biggest problem. But what it's done is that's caused some real vaccine cynicism amongst the population. And the second real challenge you've got in trying to get people vaccinated, or have some sort of a campaign to get people vaccinated, is that Australians just don't generally have sufficient fear of the virus. Our lived experience of the virus is not dire enough, certainly not like it is in other countries, to make people have a great fear of it. So if we are going to go out there with a campaign, a national campaign to get people vaccinated, then the first thing, counter the disinformation on the danger of the vaccine. And, I understand, of course, don't force people to have it, but if they are going to make a free decision, let them have the right information and a fair understanding of the risk. And also, don't just inform, but persuade people emotionally. Give them a reason to get vaccinated. And at the moment, the federal government campaign, it's informing people about the need to get vaccinated, but there's no persuasion there. There's nothing really emotional in it. And so our vaccination numbers are languishing at around 30%, where they're at 67% for the UK.
Yeah. Well, look, let's face it, Richard. You wouldn't eat any junk food if you were told that eating junk food could mean that your next bite might be your last, because it's filled with salt and fat and all this sort of stuff. They sell the sizzle. We're talking too much about how the sausage is made. Hey, you wouldn't even eat a sausage if you knew how it was made, Richard.
Yeah, that is correct. I just got a sausage maker for my birthday, actually, and I know how they're made now, and they're the only ones I'll eat. So,
okay.
But that's all by the by.
Yeah.
But look, another thing as well is we know that the fact of the matter is, regardless of where you stand on the virus, that we are not going to get out. We're not going to get past lockdowns until we receive a certain number, a certain percentage, whatever that magic number that National Cabinet decides, of vaccinations. So we are going to need to persuade people to go and get vaccinated. Now, we know from many, many decades of public health advertising campaigns in this country that fear, or the legitimate use of fear, is a great motivator if you use it legitimately. But if we go out and try to get people scared about the vaccine in this country, there's just not enough legitimacy to that fear in people's minds. But what people are scared about is lockdowns. People are frightened about this sense that we'll never get past this virus, that your kids still will be learning from home, that you won't be able to go away travelling, that small businesses will be shut down and will go out of business, and we'll have all those mental health issues. We'll be racking up all of this debt. So all of those things are legitimate fears that people have. So if the government could go out and say, well, first up, name the magic number that is the threshold number that will allow us to stop these lockdowns. Second, say, if you do get vaccinated, all of this will stop. This is our only way past it. We all know that we hate it. Build up the fear of that, and really you tell that story in an emotional way, and then you'll start to get, then we'll start to be like the beavers building the dam, with every twig being another vaccination that's going to build the dam wall up to hold the virus out and to, stop the lockdowns. That's the sort of thing we need to do. But my fear is that the government, the mail that I've got, Gary, is that the government is planning a comedic, like a funny campaign to do this, which I just think is the absolute wrong thing to do, because I've never known a public health campaign. I'm a big fan of comedy and advertising, but to use comedy in a public health campaign is, well, it just trivialises the issue. And a lot of advertising agencies sort of like that sort of thing. A lot of people have won awards for it and made themselves careers and all that sort of thing. But I've never seen it work effectively. We've got to tap into
Richard, I mean,
the true and legitimate.
Surely you've got to understand the marketplace when you start to position a campaign. And if people are cheesed off by the lockdowns, there's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. People are starting to ignore the lockdowns. I mean, Noosa Beach a couple of days ago, everyone was out there having a great old time. And of course, you know, tonight the news is there's another case on the Sunshine Coast, and yet the lockdown finished at 6 o'clock tonight, Noosa Beach time. So, you know, go figure that. But, you know, people are cheesed off, and yet they're concerned because they're getting so many mixed messages. As I said, this National Cabinet's become like a nine-headed dog. It's got so many voices, and then you throw in probably just as many health officers and medicos and everybody, every doctor's got an opinion. We have got literally hundreds of voices out there confusing everybody.
Yeah, and I think if the government could find a way let's say the National Cabinet could get its act together enough to do a joint campaign that features all the state premiers and the Prime Minister and the territory leaders, and have them go out there and say, look, we don't agree on everything, but here's something we do agree on. We need to get past this virus. In order to get past this virus, we need to reach this certain threshold of vaccination. And that's the only way we're going to get past all of these lockdown, all of these, you know, the small businesses doing it really, really tough. School kids doing it really, really tough. Not being able to go to holidays, not being able to do, you know, go to your weddings and all of these wonderful things and see your loved ones. And then if they could end, you know how you end a commercial on the authorisation tag, you know, authorised by the Australian government Canberra, authorised by the Victorian government Melbourne. You put all of those authorisation tags, one after another, like 7 of them, and everyone says, wow, they've actually got their act together here. They're giving me a unified message for once, because they just can't get their message straight at the moment, and that's what's needed.
Yeah, no, really good observations. Thanks so much for joining us, Richard Ralphsmith, co-founder of DPR & Co, advertising experts on this sort of stuff in Melbourne, and appreciate that. Get your act together, National Cabinet. Have a unified voice. No wiggle room, no weasel words. It's very simple. Well, keen to know what you think on that as well.